Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt from More Music Sessions. Today we're going to be going over learning the note G and then incorporating A, B, C, and D into your playing with different songs. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So G, we finger like this. You're going to take your first finger, second finger, and third finger and put it down. That's it. So these three, you get G. Let's go ahead and jump into playing a long tone for G. The good old exercise of holding out for 4 counts, resting for 4 counts. Remember, if you're holding a note for 4 counts, we write as a circle. And if you want to rest for 4 counts, then you have a symbol that is basically hanging from the 4th line. It's the block that hangs from the 4th line. But we haven't, the sheet that I have up on the video for you doesn't have the symbol yet, but yeah, I might put up a visual for you guys. But we'll definitely be getting into talking more of that stuff, or about that stuff, at least like in other videos. But let's go ahead and put the metronome on at 80 BPM, and we're gonna hold it out for 4 counts. So 4 counts you're gonna hold out, and then excuse me, rest for 4 counts again. All right, 2, a G, and again. Listen to your tone. Quick deep breath. Breathe through your mouth, puff out your gut. Yeah. Good old long tones. So keep throwing those in. Whatever level you're at, those are always good to start up. Think of them as your stretches, kind of a meditative kind of thing before you get into some heavier stuff. But yeah, long tones are always going to be there to keep building on your fundamentals and building on your basics. So that's going to be G. So now up to this point, we have 5 notes that we've been playing. So let's go ahead and try doing a song that has G, A, B, C, and D with it. All quarter notes. Remember, a quarter note is going to be a dot and a stem, either facing up or facing down. A quarter note rest is a squiggly line. And that's happening on the sheet that I put up on this video, where this is number 10, the Fab 5. Okay? Now, yeah, with the Fab 5, we're going to be playing 4 Gs over to A into the next measure, and then D for 2, C for 2, and then into B, and then we'll repeat. So the repeat sign, again, is at the end of the exercise for number 10, it has a thick line, a thin line, and 2 dots that sandwich the 3rd line. And normally you would only play it through 2 times if they don't tell you more than twice, but I'll go ahead and repeat it a few times so you can hear it, some more of where I'm going with the notes. But let's go ahead and try it out. So I'm going to put the metronome down a little bit slower, and again, if going and practicing with the metronome is a little difficult at this point, just keep practicing it on your own. And you want to balance that out, where, yeah, you start something without the metronome and then eventually work in the metronome. And playing with the metronome is another skill in itself. So use the metronome as a tool and get comfortable with it. I tell all my students to humanize your metronome. Think of it like you're playing with a percussionist that's hitting some sort of percussion instrument, and making sure that you're jamming along with it. Because yeah, it can be kind of tedious working with it, but making sure that you're making it your friend and you're having a good time with it. because the number one rule of playing music is to have fun. You're always going to run into challenges at times with learning your instrument, but you always want to be making sure that you're coming back to that happy place of learning how to communicate on your instrument. So let's give it a go at 60 BPM, number 10, the Fab 5. So Fab 5 is going to sound like this. We got 2, 3. Again. Repeat again. Already. And last time. So that's number 10. So yeah, getting more comfortable with G and then incorporating A, B, C, and D. So if you're squeaking at any point with going in between those notes, you know, make slight adjustments. You might be tensing up your face too much, all right? So make sure that you're not forcing anything. You want to make sure that your face is set but relaxed. If you're having issues going between a couple notes, and a lot of times it's going between, you know, the notes that have an octave key and then the notes that don't have an octave key, like D into C, it's a good idea to just simply play back and forth between those two notes to where, yeah, you're dancing with it, right? So yeah, if I take C and D and just play around, right? Yeah, we get to the point where, yeah, you're not, again, forcing it. Having a light tongue. Think of saying D, keeping your air at a steady rate. Think of it like a beam of air going into your instrument. All right, be patient with yourself too. So playing an instrument takes time. Like with any other language, you gotta keep coming back and speaking it and putting yourself in situations where you're communicating with even other people. So yeah, keep working on that consistency of you know, your technique and creating good habits with everything that we do with playing your instrument. But let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, so we just knocked out number 10, and with the sheet I put up on for you, which is out of Essential Elements for Band, Alto Sax book 1, I would highly recommend picking up if you're first starting out with saxophone. There's a lot of great method books out there that you can pick up that have a similar way of introducing you to different notes. But I learned Essential Elements, so that's the first go-to that I go with. But they give you a few other things and that we run into with music. They talk about the treble clef. So the treble clef is a symbol that we use to tell us the order of notes on the staff being the 5 lines or the 4 spaces that we read in sheet music. And they even say the treble clef is also called the G clef. And speaking of G, that's another way of reminding yourself that G is on the 2nd line of the staff. Because Yeah, and the reason they called the treble clef the G clef is because the symbol on the bottom of the treble clef circles around the second line. So they even say indicates the position of note names on a music staff. Second line is G, just like I was saying. Another thing we run into is time signature. Your time signature, like they're pointing to you, indicates how many beats are per measure and what kind of note gets one count. So if you're in 4/4 time, the top number is telling you how many counts are in the measure, and the bottom number is telling you the type of rhythm that you're dealing with. If you have a number that's a 4 on the bottom, that's your quarter note rhythm. That's the main rhythm that is going to equal up to the amount of measures or bars that you run in music. So they even say 4 beats per measure equals, and then quarter note gets the 1 beat, like I was saying. And then they talk about note names, right? Each note is on a line or a space on the staff. These note names are indicated by the treble clef. So these are some other notes that we get into, or we will get into eventually with playing saxophone. But yeah, you even notice how there's a couple notes that are below the regular 5 lines and 4 spaces of the staff. And they're still considered space notes and line notes. So the lowest C that you see on there is considered a line note because there's a line going through the note below the staff. And then the note right above it, D, is considered a space note, even though it's not on the staff. So yeah, it's either going to be line or space, and that's another memorization thing that you work on. And then they give you a few other symbols that we run into a lot. Your sharp symbol. Your sharp is like a hashtag looking symbol. It raises the note and remains in effect for the entire measure. That's another thing to remember. That yeah, again, a measure is organized by bar lines. If you have a vertical line and then another vertical line, that tells you that's one measure. We were just playing the Fab 5, so there's 4 measures. The first measure starts with all 4 G's, and then the next measure you start on A. So yeah, sharp, yeah, we were talking about. So the other symbol we run into a lot is your flat symbol. So a flat symbol lowers the note that you're playing. So yeah, lowers the note and remains in effect for the entire measure, just like your sharp symbol. So in music, in the grand scheme of things, again, we're only dealing with 12 notes, okay, in the Western music scale. And we reference this by the piano. So the piano, we have white keys, all the regular letters, just goes up to 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, those are all the white keys, the natural notes. And the black keys get 2 names. They can be sharp or flat depending on your key signature. Your key signature tells you what type of sound that you're in with a certain amount of sharps or a certain amount of flats, or none at all. Okay, so yeah, the black keys, yeah, get you, you get 2 different names, yeah, for each one. And yeah, besides the 7 letters, you get 5 black keys up and down the piano, and up and down around whatever instrument you're playing that uses the piano as the reference, or the dictionary, as I refer to it as. But let's talk about one other symbol, and then we can talk about getting one more etude before we wrap up this video. The other symbol that we run into from time to time is the natural symbol. So the natural symbol cancels out a flat or a sharp and remains in effect for the measure and the entire measure too, just like a flat or sharp. So yeah, if you have a flat symbol and then you put that natural symbol for that same note next to that note, then yeah, it cancels out that flat note and it becomes a natural note or a white key a lot of times. So those are a few symbols, yeah, some music theory that they will be running into off and on. But let's go ahead and test out doing a little bit of, I'd like to skip over number 12 because, spoiler alert, number 11 is the same thing as 10. But what they're doing, yeah, they even tell you reading the notes, compare this exercise 10, or compare this to exercise 10, the Fab 5. So going forward, we're going to be starting to take away the letters on top of the notes. So that's another thing with developing your skill of your reading skills is, again, knowing where the notes are on the staff, where your fingers need to go in order to get those certain notes. All right, so we're starting with just 5 notes. So work with those 5 notes, get familiar with them, and then we'll start introducing other notes as we go forward. We'll get all 12 notes down, and then you have a range of those 12 notes up a few different octaves is what we call it. Octaves being, you know, the same note, only higher in different ranges. So get comfortable with knowing where you see G, A, B, C, and D. But I want us to go ahead and play the first flight, number 12. Okay, and starting out, if you want to even write the letters on top of the notes to help you with identifying them starting out, eventually you want to have the goal to where you see them and you know what that note is. So keep having that goal to identify that and speak the language of reading music. But let's go ahead and put the metronome on. We'll put it on 60. And yeah, we're going to start with B and walk down. And then, yeah, on the third measure, we get into D and we walk down here too. So there's a repeat sign. We'll play through it more than a couple times so you can hear how it sounds. So it's going to sound like this. A 2, a ready, First flight gonna go like that. So practice, practice, practice. Get comfortable with these exercises. Look at some of my other videos. If you're first getting started and you skipped over to this, if you're not familiar with C and D, go back and do some of the exercises that I've covered in previous videos. But keep coming back to these until you feel more familiar, and then we can keep advancing and looking forward. Stick around, I'll be putting out more videos and we'll keep talking about saxophone.